saw you in training camp in the summer. You gave me the quiz. I got a little worried because I am Mexican American. I got a pass. Fernando happens to be Mexican American. You have a quiz in terms of 7 movies that you better know. Yes. And you start off the show by interviewing Fernando.
What was
that was perfect. 7.
Yeah. 7.
Victor too, our producer.
I was shocked at how many over 7s they were doing, and I asked the Raider coach at the time, whose name I will not say, but his initials are probably he was over 7 as well. But that whatever, I mean, you grew up at certain times, certain era, certain places, that's fine. Fernando, you're up in the coverage. Here was the tweet. The biggest social media surprise of Raiders camp one weekend was the popularity of backup quarterback Chase Garbers, and yet how many media members were 0 for 7? Have you seen these movies? La Bamba.
Yes.
Born in East LA.
No.
Wow.
Stand and Deliver.
Yes.
American Me.
Yes.
Blood In, Blood Out.
I don't know. Not looking good, Paul.
Wow. Mi Familia.
Who's that?
That's a no. And Selena.
Oh yeah.
You'll do anything
yeah,
for Selena.
Yeah, no, of course.
So,
yeah.
So 4 out
the
of
movie
7.
that made Jennifer Lopez.
4 out of 7.
Yeah.
I have them on DVD.
Okay. So Stand and Deliver, I got crapped on a couple of years ago in LA because Beto Duran, he put me on blast on his Instagram, and he's like, "Oh, he hasn't watched Stand." I was like, "I do know Stand and Deliver. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it was shown in school when we were kids." And all these people were coming after me, so I'm like, well, no, I've watched Stand and Deliver. Like, what's calculas? Like, I know, yeah, exactly.
Maristica buzzing in my locker.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Beto tried to get me on that too. It's the thing, but no, Born in East LA, Jesus está Tijuana. You don't know that one?
I need to watch it. Okay, I have 3 movies.
From the 3, Paul, which one do you say he has to watch right now?
Right now, so yeah, Born in East LA, Blood In, Blood Out. I mean, there's just so many good one-liners in all those movies. I would say, if you're just looking for something happy, Born in East LA. It's a terrible opening. The movie at all is terrible, but there's great one-liners in it, and it's the message that really resonates.
I'm gonna check it out.
It's when I saw it like the weekend before I started my senior year of high school. It came out summer of '87, and it still kind of stands the test of time in terms of just having those one-liners and the message of that. If a previous Raider coach is over 7, I'm hoping to all heck. The current Raider coach who grew up in Compton.
I was gonna say,
yeah. What do you think?
I'm gonna give him 3. I'm gonna say he's 3 because he's a few years younger than I am. Obviously, he's probably coaching you guys age, but growing up in LA.
I don't know about Sandy. I don't know if you watched it.
That's in LA.
He was raised in LA, yeah.
That's
Went to school, public school in LA, so I think he did.
Selena, I don't.
How do you not know? I mean, if it's on TV,
That's true.
it's Jennifer Lopez.
Do you know what she puts on her pizza? In the movie.
You guys have that here in your snacks? You put Tabasco on your gummy bears?
I remember that scene because the dude Chris he always carries a bottle with him, and they put it on top of their pizza. I was like, oh wow. And I actually tried Tabasco on pizza. Mixed in. Thanks for that movie.
Okay, yeah, no, that movie got me. I still lived in New York City at that time. I worked at Sports Illustrated.
Yeah,
and when it was when people worked at Sports Illustrated.
Besides me, okay.
Yeah, besides
okay.
Yeah, you're legit.
Thank you, sir.
Do you have to call New York right now?
Apparently I don't have access. Only one person in Las Vegas has access to New York, and it's not me apparently. Yeah, I don't know. But we can figure that out later. To segue, to not go off the rails, I know Fernando wants to ask you about wrestling. Some Raiders real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Get into that.
You mentioned it, Antonio Pierce. Getting that the label off an interim tag, being promoted full-time head coach. Quick thoughts about that.
It made all the sense in the world, and yet it was kind of a dangerous proposition from Mark Davis' perspective because, and as you guys are well comfortable, or Tom Telesco being hired as the general manager. Mark Davis was against the idea of pairing a rookie head coach with a rookie GM, which is what kind of doomed Champ Kelly in the situation because he made the decision to go after the head coach first. So when you remove that title, boom, Antonio Pierce is the guy. It makes all the sense because, as he said himself, he didn't necessarily deserve it as much as he wanted to feel like he earned it. And when you felt that culture shift in that locker room, you talk to the guy. You walk in there, and you get a sense of, okay, this is what it means to be a Raider per se. Does that equate to wins? Not necessarily, but they did win more than they lost. And that weighed heavily with Mark Davis too. But on top of that was how much respect, honor, tradition that Antonio has for the Raiders DNA. And I know it's a kind of a throwaway line because they make games for the Raiders, but they do believe this to their heart. There's 31 teams, and then there's the Raiders. There's something different about this organization that Antonio and Chad Kelly put on a masterclass in the season finale when they had all those gold jackets in the locker room after the game to celebrate. Yeah, a season-ending win that got you to 8-9, big whoop, whatever. But it solidified that Antonio understood what it means, and that's important to Mark Davis. Not to tell this himself, but that's important to him that Antonio understands this. So yeah, they went 5-4 under him. More importantly, they went 3-1. The last team to beat the AFC champions that are here, the Raiders. They did it on Christmas Day at Arrowhead. Only the second time in 10 years the Raiders have won at Arrowhead. So what did the Raiders do? They smoked cigars in the locker room at Arrowhead. So I can only imagine what the Chiefs are going to do in the Raider locker room if they win the Super Bowl. Before that, John Gruden took a victory lap in the bus around Arrowhead. So there's a rivalry there that Antonio understands. And by having, when I walk in that locker room after Jaden Daniels walked by, because he's got the connection with Antonio from recruiting him to Arizona State, you walk in and the cigar smoke lifts, and there's Jim Plunkett. There's sitting in their wheelchairs are Jim Otto and Ted Hendricks. There's Marcus Allen. There's Mike Haynes. There's Richard Seymour. All the gold jackets are in there that tugged on the heartstrings. There's Bolitnikoff and Tom Flores are up in the press box, up in a suite. They invited all those guys to show Mark Davis that they understood what it means to be a Raider. And on top of that, they win games. So yeah, long answer to your short question, but promoting Antonio Pierce to head coach showed that he earned it. He didn't just deserve it.
So, I mean, plain and simple, is Aiden O'Connell the guy? Or do you believe they're going to...
Plain and simple, Fernando. There you go.
And that's not taking a shot at him. And he's walking around here wearing a Letterman jacket.
Yeah.
So
he's probably going to come in rock bottom you on these people.
I'm kidding.
You're a black belt. That's right.
Professional, but he's a professional. Anyway, no, I mean he showed that he can be in competition for a starting job, and Antonio Pierce said that himself. Now the fact that Antonio benched Jimmy Garoppolo in favor of him, and the only action that Jimmy saw down the stretch was 3 snaps when he got hurt. That tells me all I need to know there. And yet Mark Davis obviously had to sign off on it. So when he's brought back, he's relatively cheap on his contract, they need to bring in some competition for him. And again, depending upon who the OC is, now it's like Steve Getsy, what kind of offense does he want to run? What kind of quarterback? When it was going to be Cliff Kingsbury, well, at that point, we all knew, like, okay, we're going to go get somebody that can run around and extend plays and do things like that. I don't know what they're going to do. So they need to bring somebody in. And I mentioned this on the radio show earlier today, that it's going to be interesting to see what if Luke Getsy actually likes what Jimmy Garoppolo does. And if he's healthy now, what if that just solves the problem right there? I don't think it does. I don't know if Antonio Pierce is down with that, but it's something else to chew on this offseason.
Well, that was the issue with Luke Getsy in Chicago. He kind of wanted to pass for his pocket quarterback at the mobile stuff with Justin Fields, but he made it work. And I'm guessing that name Justin Fields is out of the picture, not because of Getsy. But I guess that could be the question.
Yeah.
And then if it's not him, is it a veteran route? Is it a rookie draft pick with the first rounder, or Jimmy, like you said?
I'll put it to you like this: you did a mock exercise at ESPN last week, and in it, I acquired, as the Raiders fake GM, I acquired Justin Fields for the Raiders. It cost me a second and a 7th. Now, I did that before we even knew who the OC was going to be, before we even knew if Antonio was going to be the head coach, before we knew who the GM was going to be. I was kind of, I don't really like this assignment because we're just dealing with so many unknowns, but it made it more fun. So we did. So I texted somebody in the organization and said, hey, guess what? I acquired for you Justin Fields, and it cost a 2nd and a 7th. They wrote back immediately. What does it cost to get in the top 5 of the draft? That tells me all I need to know if they want to get a younger guy. They wrote back again, no more stopgaps, no band-aids for me to go back. So that was before all of this madness happened this weekend. So again, everything I mentioned, everything was, I don't know.
Did Tom pick up the phone and call Joe Ortiz and be like, hey, we want to
Number 5 pick?
with you guys? Yeah, exactly. So that'll definitely be interesting. there's been a lot made about Davante Adams, and I know there's been a lot of rumors that he wants to go back with Aaron Rodgers, and then Garrett Wilson changes his number back to his college number. Now 17's open. Where do you think Davante's mindset's at? Is he a Raider, or could he possibly be looking to exit then?
I believe the person that's stirring that pot the hardest and the strongest and the longest is actually Aaron Rodgers, not Davante. Davante, in my conversation with him, he seems very comfortable with his station in life. He's here. Of course, he came, and one of the big draws for him was to play with Derek Carr, his college quarterback, and they only got together for 1 year. So now last year he's playing with Jimmy Garoppolo and Brian Hoyer for a spell, and then a rookie Aiden O'Connor, which that wasn't supposed to happen. So in the midst of all that, you got Aaron Rodgers just kind of like dropping little hits here and there and making things happen. So he's comfortable here. One of his main reason he actually said he wanted to come here was to be closer to his family, because his grandparents had never seen him play before. Wow. And I guess if you're a multi-millionaire, you can shuttle your grandparents to Green Bay, Wisconsin if you wanted to, but it's a lot easier for them to get here to Las Vegas. You've got a beautiful mansion here. I don't get the sense that he wants to leave, but I know he definitely wants to win. And whatever that quickest path is, we'll go that way.
Paul, I know you mentioned Tom a little bit, but I just want to get your point of view from the Raiders side, because Fernando and I know Tom from the Charger days, and you know how he operates, but I'm sure it's going to be different with a new owner to tell you what to do, and then working, obviously with AP. How did you just see that hire with Tom Telesco?
It was interesting at first, because the first thing I thought was, wait a minute, you guys dropped 63 points on him to get him fired so that you're going to hire him? I mean, where's the logic in that?
I heard your question, too, at the press conference.
And the Raiders put me on blast. They put me on social media. My daughter sent it to me from high school because her friends were, look at your dad. So it was interesting. Again, the mistake we always make in the media, right, is to have you want a knee-jerk reaction, but you don't want it to carry the day. So my knee-jerk was, what is going on? Why would you go get somebody from the Chargers who were never any good, so to speak? You beat them, but then you pull back and go, okay, well, if the first objective is to win the division, at least this guy knows it. He always, and as Mark Davis told me, he was always kind of scared of the Chargers because he's always put together well in the last, which puts it on the coaching then, right? Yeah. So, and the Raiders did win more games against the Chargers in his tenure there. What I found interesting was Telesco gets credit, as he rightfully should, for nailing his first and second round draft. That's what you're supposed to do. Okay, great. The Raiders, since Telesco became the GM of the Chargers in 2013, it's two different things. Since 2013, when Telesco became the GM of the Chargers, the Raiders had 13 first-round draft picks in that time frame. 3 of those guys were thrown around, and only 2 sold. You compare that, so if you can, so then the Raiders made their moves in the middle round. That's the Hunter Renfrow and that's Crosby. If the Raiders can continue to nail the middle rounds and the later rounds, and Telesco brings his first round, okay, now you're cooking with gas. And I think that's part of the reason why they're doing it. He is much more reserved. Antonio is way out there. I think that they're looking at it, and their hope is that it's kind of a yin and yang kind of situation going back to that.
There you go.
By the way, one of his former first-round draft picks is here.
In
Jerry Tillery.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if he's going to keep him or not, because obviously a little bit of tension there at the end. But speaking of, are we going to stay on the Raiders? Or?
Go ahead. I asked all my Raider questions.
So
you got the quarterback question out the way.
I have breaking news for you, Paul. Cobra Kai is starting to film season 6. What's your feeling on that? What have you thought about Cobra Kai, and are you excited about the final season of?
Well, the fact that they haven't reached out to me because they need a reporter actor in the series to come on, and maybe I'm actually, I don't want to say we're friends, but we're friendly, is with Yuji Chosen. Yeah, Chosen. He's a huge Raider fan, huge member of Raider Nation. He was like telling me about Super Bowl 11, which I'm too young even to remember. But he remembers the Raiders beating the Vikings at the Rose Bowl back in 1977. And he has a restaurant. He has 2 restaurants in Seattle. So when the Raiders played up there last year, my wife came with me on the trip, and then 2 friends back from high school, and then a couple that came as well. And Yuji hosted us at his restaurant. I'm just going, I'm hanging out with Chosen. Because it was just such a mind-blowing experience. Very excited. I'm kind of bummed that it's coming to an end, but And these kids, I mean, they're no longer kids, right? I mean, they're young adults that are no longer in high school.
But that's why I thought they needed
Yeah.
and obviously COVID hit and everything, and they kind of had to slow everything
COVID,
down.
the writer's strike.
But I'm like, what's that one Stranger Things? Like all the kids now look
Yeah.
like they're.
Exactly.
How are you gonna not dumb them down, but like how are you gonna kidify those people?
Kidify?
Well, yeah, like make them look a little bit younger. But yeah, that's why.
Why new
Your
kids?
Honor, I swear I didn't know I was kidifying them.
You know, then obviously make them look younger
Yeah.
for the show, but
Move on for that.
Yeah.
CGI.
Yeah. But, speaking of that, there's a lot of reboots nowadays. Would you want to see another Karate Kid? I don't know. With different cast, maybe?
I'd like to see a Miyagi origin story.
Ooh.
A Miyagi origin
Glad I asked.
story.
But they have to be careful.
Yeah.
The actor has to be something.
Well, and that's the thing is Pat Morita was just such a great actor anyway. And I always forget, I was in high school. I was a freshman in high school when I first Karate Kid. And I thought of Pat Morita as Arnold from Happy Days. See, and that's what people now don't even know what Happy Days is. But at that time, he was a wisecracking stand-up comic.
Yeah.
And they didn't want him to cast him in that role.
He didn't like kids. Yeah.
So he just nailed the role. So yeah, an origin story on Miyagi would to me be where it should go. I don't know what this thing is with Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan now, if that's real or not.
If that's real, that's going to be awesome. So they're talking about possibly doing a Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan, like both of their story, now with the Marvel universe, their universes matching up and everything.
Right.
But
the Jackie Chan movie shouldn't have been the Karate Kid. It should have been the Kung Fu Kid. Because he was teaching him Kung Fu. Jackie Chan is a Kung Fu martial artist. So,
I don't think you can get Will Smith's kid to do anything.
Get it right, Fernando.
I don't think you can get Will Smith's kid to do anything with it. But I definitely would be interested to see an origin story of Miyagi. But like I said, the actor has to be somebody that can study the role, knows the role, and can obviously.
Go ahead, Fernando. Wrestling time.
No. Well, yeah, exactly. But so obviously we were talking off camera, and you said that you've finally gotten back into wrestling and everything. What kind of brought you back?
Probably the thing that's upsetting the people the most now is seeing The Rock show back up again.
We were in San Diego. It was day one, San Diego, New Year's Day, and all of a sudden, they're like, oh, one big a former champion's gonna come out. They bring out Jinder Mahal, everybody's booing, and then The Rock's music hits. It erupted, but now it's there's been a lot of tension now. Yeah. But is that what's brought you back?
A little bit, and I think it's because I'm older. So when I first got into it, I was early in high school, and it was Hulk Hogan and Rock and Wrestling and Roddy Piper. And WrestleMania 1, I distinctly remember those guys, Hogan and Mr. T, hosting Saturday Night Live the night before WrestleMania 1. So that's how far I go back. That's kind of when I got into it. I had some cousins that were really into it. So Saturday Night Main Event was awesome. And as I started growing in the industry, I would actually get credentialed to different WWF events at the LA Sports Arena, at the Anaheim Convention Center. I saw some dude, like a fan, legitimately jump the rail and threw a hubcap at the slickster when Big Boss Man was with Hogan. So it's been a lot of watching it actually go from cartoon character era to they acknowledge now that it's entertainment, but yet they have press conferences after it. That just blows my mind because I was at the WrestleMania in Boston in '98 when Mike Tyson was there. And they had a legit press conference, and yet you couldn't ask about the storylines, but you could ask about the champion. And that was when he flipped and Austin won the title because Tyson was supposedly wearing a DX shirt, blah, blah, blah. So to see it go from that to where it is now, it's a trip to see all that, but then the connection to The Rock, it's kind of what brought me back. But it's kind of it's blowing my mind too that a lot of fans are really upset with it.
Well, it's the storyline.
Well, I was going to say, for me, I still think about The Rock from the WWF Attitude Era.
Yeah.
And I don't care about the movies. I don't care about what's going on. I care about that, him being the best on the microphone. And that's my question to you. Is he the best on the mic? Because we got Stone Cold. Obviously, you know all about the 80s and the 70s.
Yeah. And I was, I guess I'm going to go against a Compas on the beat here angle. I wasn't a Tito Santana guy. I was more Roddy Piper because he was the guy on the mic. And yet you listen to him now, and he was sharp as a whip, right on the mic. He cut people down and beat up Jimmy Snuka with a coconut. So, and it was a legit coconut. So Piper to me kind of set the bar, but The Rock kind of goes all over the place. Dwayne Johnson, he's kind of a master at it. I know he got kind of sold out by John Cena when he had the notes on his wrist or whatever. but also a lot of what The Rock did late in his career was he would just start making fun of guys. He wasn't like having any original thoughts.
Jonathan Coachman.
Yeah, which was okay. That's funny and that's cool because he would break script there and do it. But yeah, I mean the guy he's an entertainer, no doubt. But it is strange to see him coming back and fans to actually be mad at him for stealing Cody Rhodes' shine. I guess.
Well, it's not just that. The Rock's kind of caught flack for the Black Adam stuff, then some of the stuff for the Hawaii wildfires, and then obviously, I think he was coming back into WWE thinking, you know what, this is where the people love me. I'm gonna come back. Then you come back, and the whole everybody's really behind Cody Rhodes. They are really they want him to beat Roman Reigns, and then you kind of bring him in, and it's like maybe you should have waited a year. But then obviously there's the injuries of CM Punk, the issues with Brock Lesnar. Now he's not going to no longer be there, so there were some things there, and I feel like WWE is like, you know what, we need something big at this WrestleMania, and I thought they thought with The Rock, but I'm kind of like. You could have painted a good picture, and I still don't think they're done.
Right.
I think we're gonna get something like a Daniel Bryan situation where it was Batista versus Randy Orton, and they added him, or maybe night one you do Cody Rhodes against Roman Reigns, and then you do The Rock versus Roman Reigns night two. But something's going to happen because I don't think they can leave it like this. I think they really need to go. Because if Cody beats Seth Rollins, everybody's going to say it's cheap, it's not good. And then they're talking about they could possibly unify the championship when Cody faces the Roman. That's exactly why you split up the championships in the first place, because Roman had both of them. So, my bad. I went off on a tangent.
You're really into it, Fernando.
I'm really into it.
No, and let me just throw this into the mix here, because I was actually at this WrestleMania too, when it was in Vegas in 1993, and Yokozuna beats Bret Hart, and Bret Hart's walking out, and Hogan comes out and is trying to comfort Bret Hart, and Hart tells him, and then Mr. Fuji challenges Hogan, get in the ring. Bret Hart gives his blessing, Hogan runs in the ring, but maybe something like that.
Yeah. I mean, you have to do something, though, because I feel like we're in a similar Daniel Bryan situation with all this, but...
Paul, I'll leave it. Maybe it could be the last question. No, I'm thinking because... Okay, all right. Do you care about the Super? Do you want to do a prediction for us, or do you want to give us your... Because you're in Vegas now. Yeah. Maybe your best restaurant out here if you want. Maybe both. Up to you.
Everything because I went to UNLV, so everything that every place I graduated, every place that I used to hang out at or go to, they're all closed down now. There's no cheap eats here anymore. I don't really have a go-to anymore from back then. Super Bowl prediction-wise itself, I feel for Raider Nation because these are the two teams they probably despise the most, and they're in their house. Literally, the Chiefs are at their facility, and then they're going to be in their locker room. And I don't understand all the hate for Taylor Swift, I guess because I'm not of a certain mindset. I'm totally fine with it. But, I'm going to go Chiefs 27, Niners 21, Kelsey just to upset a lot of people. Yep.
Is he recording?
Can you imagine all that? Can you imagine that brand of people, their heads would explode.
I know.
So I'm hoping for it.
So my final question, I have to ask you about this because I think this has been a sad week in the last few days. Well, not sad, but everybody's been remembering Carl Weathers, former Oakland Raider, and obviously at Hall of Fame. He used to play at SDSU. What's your favorite memory from Carl Weathers?
Talking to him on the phone. I interviewed him for my first Raider when Underground Raider fans and for a long time before the advent of social media, people didn't even know that Apollo Creed, the Master of Disaster, the Count of Monte Cristo, that he was actually a Raider. So I got a good friend of mine, Jerry Knapp, who used to be the Raider historian, connected me with him, and we talked on the phone for 15, 20 minutes. And I'm literally, it was one of those 2 moments where I'm talking to him, and I'm talking to Chubbs, I'm talking to Dylan from Predator. It was phenomenal in the voice and everything that came through it. So the memory was just of the conversation itself, and him telling me that he made the team basically in the preseason where he knocked the Packers kicker down on a kickoff return He knocked the Packers kicker down 4 times on the same throw. He gets to training camp the next day when they're still up in Santa Rosa, and there's a bonus check. So he looks at it. So he goes up to Mr. Davis and tells Alabama, he's like, "Hey, check, what are you thanking me for? Yeah, you know." So that, and then he also told me, I don't know, we probably can't curse on here, but
Go ahead.
he goes, and I'm quoting Carl here. This is
Yeah.
not me saying. He says every time he'd show up to Raiders things, Al Davis would refer to him as King, as if he was really Apollo Creed. So then later in life, he said, Al would come up to me, like, what the fuck, you know about boxing anyway. So those are probably my favorite Carl Weathers games.
That is awesome. Paul Gutierrez, thank you so much for jumping on with Compas on the Beat. El Primero jumped on with us. We appreciate you so much. And make sure you guys check out all of his wonderful work on ESPN.com/Raiders for all of his great work. And follow him on social media. He's a great one to follow. And especially with Cobra Kai coming out, he'll probably have some review or something out there. But thank you so much, Paul.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks for having me.